Jordan Binnington. Binner the winner. I need to talk about this. I am so excited.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen.
Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, I'm going to talk to you about the incredible Four Nations face-off, most importantly, Team Canada's win, and even more so importantly, who was in net and played outstanding on defense for Canada. We also have the Blues versus Jets tomorrow. Yes, hockey does return to Enterprise. And then finally, my favorite Friday segment, Are We Feeling Blue? Was this a good week or was this a bad week for the St. Louis Blues? I think you know what I'm going to say, but I do have to share some thoughts that might be a little bit negative towards the end, because when am I ever positive on this podcast? But we have a lot of hockey to talk about today, and I cannot wait to just jump right into things talking about that Four Nations face-off. The Four Nations face-off is the type of product that the NHL needs to put out more. Not only did it show people that hockey is still a good product, it got non-hockey fans involved. And most of the time, I would be annoyed about that. I hate when people all of a sudden have this interest in hockey when it becomes the Stanley Cup Finals, because regular season hockey is still great hockey. People say, oh, it's more intense. And while that is true, please watch any NHL game during the regular season and tell me that it's not intense. It is intense. And I think that the Four Nations face-off, I went in being a little bit negative. I thought to myself, how will this be that competitive when there's players in this tournament that are on teams that are cup contending teams? Why would they want to risk getting injured? And then it hit me. These players, not only are they playing in this tournament for themselves because they personally made it, they are representing their respective countries. And for that reason, they have passion. I spoke with Sam. I did. Okay. You know what? I did. I spoke with Sam Ersson ahead of the Four Nations face-off, and he actually ended up starting in a game for Team Sweden, and Sweden did win in that game. And Sam was just so positive and had so much pride being able to represent his country. And I think for different players in the NHL, you're not always playing with people that are fellow countrymen that are on the same team as you in the NHL, but also come from the same place as you. I know the Finnish and the Swedish are maybe a little bit more susceptible to not experiencing that. I know most of the guys in the NHL are Canadian or American, so maybe they're more used to it. But you're never really playing on a team of just being able to play with people from where you're from. The Four Nations face-off was not only competitive, it was not only entertaining, but it's what every single sports franchise, I'm talking NFL, NBA, MLB, needs to do in some type of form or capacity during their All-Star breaks, because it was everything and more. I don't necessarily know how the NFL or, even baseball could do that. But I think that at the end of the day, when you put and you categorize players into specific regions or countries, you just get this extra ounce of competitiveness. And it brought non-hockey fans into hockey. And I know that these people that watch the Four Nations face-off, they're going to end up not watching the rest of the regular season, and they're going to join us again during the Stanley Cup playoffs. That annoys me because I think hockey is one of the most competitive sports out there. I know there's that argument that football's more competitive, but hockey players are the toughest players in any professional sports league. I watch a lot of hockey, as you know. I cover 2 different hockey teams. So I see what goes on game after game, and it is so competitive. And then when you go to the playoffs, it's even more so competitive. And then you go to overtime in a game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Well, that's always my dream. But you get what I'm saying? That's when it gets competitive. In last night's game in the Four Nations face-off, both teams were tied at 2. And guess what? My dream came true. Time ran out in regulation and we got overtime hockey. Overtime hockey in the final game of this tournament was like music to my ears. I was excited. I was texting everybody. I'm like, the hockey gods finally listened to me. We are getting overtime hockey in a meaningful game in the last game of this competition to determine the winner. And guess what happened? Connor McGod scored and gave Team Canada the win. But I was rooting for Team USA. Okay, I'm going to always root for USA. But I was very happy for Jordan Binnington, for Colton Parayko, for Travis Sanheim, for Travis Konechny, some of the guys that I covered. I hate the Penguins, but for Sidney Crosby, good for him. You know, there's certain players that you just have to respect over time, even if you don't like them. And for those guys, I was happy. But I was most importantly happy for Jordan Binnington. I love Jordan Binnington. And he's been on a really bad St. Louis Blues team, a team that is not going to go to the playoffs. So for him to play one of the best games all season, and I'll tell you that as somebody that covers the St. Louis Blues, one of the best games all season that he's played in, it came with being able to win the first ever Four Nations face-off. And the broadcast, they were saying things like Binner the winner. Then they talked about Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals in 2019, because guess what happened in Boston, Massachusetts? The St. Louis Blues won their first ever Stanley Cup at the Garden. And they were talking about the cup win, and they were showing throwback pictures. And I'm watching this, and I am thinking to myself, okay, this is special. This is magical. And I knew the moment they talked about that Game 7 victory for St. Louis in the finals, I knew Canada was going to win, because I know how Jordan Binnington is. And I know he was thinking the same exact thing. I won once in this building. I can do it again. And yes, he did. His rookie season, he won the Stanley Cup. And now, like 5-6 years later, he won the Four Nations face-off. And again, I wanted America to win. Okay, USA. But I was very happy for those players that I did mention. I think that there is a really weird conflicting voice in my head last night when watching this game, because I want my home country to win, obviously. Always going to choose America, right? But then you have players that you covered every single day that you're watching on Team Canada, and you can't help but think to yourself, oh, well, I kind of want that guy to win because I cover him and he deserves it. And I could not imagine, honestly, the slander that Jordan Binnington would have gotten if they didn't win. I think that it's interesting. You think about the Florida Panthers and how there's Matthew Tkachuk on Team USA and then Sam Bennett on Team Canada. And it's like, wow, if you're a Panthers fan, what do you do in this situation? Obviously, I know this tournament isn't the same thing as winning a Stanley Cup. I'm very aware of that. That's not new to me. I understand that this is completely different. I just think that at the end of the day, I am very happy for the players that did win. And the NHL absolutely killed it. And being able to see, Travis Konechny on the back of Brad Marchand. And it's like, whoa, like you would never suspect them to kind of get along like that. But they're all Canadians. And it's weird seeing Sidney Crosby bond with some of the guys. And Connor McDavid, he's Connor McJesus for a reason. I'm just saying, like, when there's a clutch moment, he does come through. And I know the Edmonton Oilers people that watch my podcast, yeah, they're not going to be missing Broberg or Holloway. Obviously, it's a whole different level. I'm allowed to compliment a player, even though I'm not a big fan of that organization, okay? I just am really happy, though, for Jordan Binnington. And now everybody can stop with all the Jordan Binnington slander. He's not a good goalie. I hate him. Like, everybody has problems with Jordan Binnington, except when he's able to win it for Canada. He had some incredible saves last night, some incredible dives last night. It was some of the best goaltending I have seen from him all season, and he deserved to win. He deserved it. And if you were watching last night and you saw Jordan Binnington in net and you didn't think to yourself, wow, this is one of the better goalies in the NHL, then you need to get glasses because he looked phenomenal. Everyone was saying, play Aiden Hill. Why are you starting Jordan Binnington? Moments like that were in clutch moments in overtime of the game deciding game, essentially. You need to have a clutch guy, and Jordan Binnington is that guy. And he's always going to be that guy. So when Blues fans or hockey fans hate on Jordan Binnington and say, oh, well, he's not a good goalie, please tell me after last night's game that you have apologized for a statement like that. He is a very good goalie, okay? As somebody that covers Jordan Binnington, I have spoke to Jordan Binnington on numerous occasions, and I can tell you that he is not only one of the I get so flustered because he is not only is Jordan Binnington one of the best goalies, he is one of the most focused goalies. When I spoke to Jordan Binnington, he told me that he wants Joel Hofer, the Blues' backup goalie, to learn from him, and he kind of wants to mentor him. And if that doesn't show you how much character growth he has had as a person, because we all know how emotional he used to be, then I don't know what you're seeing. If you're going to hold on to the past and you're going to judge him for being emotional and reactive, and you can't acknowledge how good of a hockey player he is, then just don't watch. Because at the end of the day, yes, players, not always the best people off the ice, okay? You don't have to like everybody off the ice. But when he's on the ice and he's emotional, I don't take that as a negative. I take that as a positive. He cares so much about the game that he is willing to fight another goalie. And I cannot believe the refs didn't let him fight Marc-Andre Fleury that one time because I love goalie on goalie fights. But last night's game just showed me, it reminded me how beautiful of the game hockey is. And to all the bandwagoners, and this is a message to you as somebody that works in hockey, that's a fan of hockey, that lives, loves, breathes hockey, you can join. I'm extending you my hand to join because I would usually say to people that are just bandwagons, like, oh, stay away from and watch regular season hockey because I promise you, if you like what you saw last night, you're going to love what you see every single day of the week because there's games literally every single day of the week. And I highly recommend putting on a game and watching hockey. It's a good sport. It's better than what the NBA is doing right now. But the Blues are back in action tomorrow night against the Jets. But before I talk to you about that, I want to tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. When the games tip off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on fourth quarter comebacks, you can stay in touch with the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into same-game parlays. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, I never feel like I miss my chance. Plus, the app is really easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more of FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. The Blues are back in action tomorrow night as they host the Winnipeg Jets. The Blues are going to lose. The Blues are going to lose. No, but it's true. The Blues are going to lose. Yeah, the Jets are a much better team than St. Louis, and I'm sorry, but that's the reality of it. I love the Blues, and we all know how much I love the Blues, but I also can give you the reality check. And I think at the end of the day, this is a team that is not going to win. And I'm sorry, but that's how it is. I mean, yes, you had Jordan Binnington and Colton Parayko, who both medaled with Team Canada in the Four Nations face-off. And it was insane. In the 4 games, Finner had 97 saves, posted a .907 save percentage, and he was the only goalie in the tournament, by the way, to play every single second. So it was definitely a lot for him. However, just to give you a little bit of a throwback Thursday before the break, the Blues did play the Blackhawks, and they won 5. Again, it was like a 10-round shootout, which was actually insane. But Boxa, I know out of all people, was able to get it backy and gave them the win. But anyways, Coach Montgomery spoke after practice the other day, and he said that he's not really trying to necessarily focus on the outcome of these games, but focus on the preparation and the results that kind of go into the games, right? And I think that the Blues, just need to be consistent because they have a game, obviously, Saturday with the Jets, and then they have a game Sunday against the Avalanche. And the Avalanche are also a very good team. And the Winnipeg Jets right now, by the way, they're 39-14-3. And they're going to begin the second half of their season as the top-ranked team in the NHL with 81 points. As I said, Blues are going to lose. And the Jets did have 3 players that were in the Four Nations face-off. Josh Morrissey for Canada, and then Kyle Connor and Connor Hellebuck for Team USA. And the thing is that the Jets overall, I just feel like have this dominance against the Blues. And it's ironic because they are tied this season, which just kind of cracks me up, like 1-1, because like the Jets are so much better. But the Blues did win. It was a 4-1 win over the Jets in December, right? But it was a little funny because I'm like, whoa. The Blues actually won a game against a really good hockey team, which is kind of rare. We don't see that often. Obviously, though, Kyle Connor is a problem. He's always been a problem. He leads the Jets this season with 69 points with 39 assists. He also leads all American-born players this season in the NHL with 30 goals. So, again, one of those players that I get a little bit nervous about, obviously, for the Blues, our boy Robert Thomas. He was on a 4-game point streak prior to the break. He has 28 assists this season and 41 points. He's also 1 goal away from reaching 100 career goals. I was looking at his stat sheet when I was doing my show prep, and I'm like, oh, Robert Thomas to get his 100th NHL career goal tomorrow night, which is super exciting. I love Thomas, so happy for him. Again, the last time Winnipeg beat the Blues was October of this year, and that's when the Blues did really bad on the road, and I think they kind of put in like all their efforts in that game. Anyways, Cam Fowler, this is a fun fact. He leads the Blues defenseman with 14 points, 6 goals, 8 assists since December 14th, which was his first game as a Blue. I think that he honestly is just one of those players that really did up this team. I mean, he scored 6 goals this season right before the break against the Blackhawks. He has been somebody that I feel like has been just a shining star, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. So I'm happy. I feel like this team is heading in the right direction. Not necessarily that they are in the right direction, but they're definitely heading in the right direction, which is better than what I thought, because I think at the end of the day, the St. Louis Blues have talent, right? You just saw the Blues' goalie win with Team Canada. You saw Colton Parayko play on the second pair and played absolutely outstanding. I love Parayko. I think that it's just who is around them, and that's the issue. I think a lot of the Blues' younger guys in the prospect that didn't pan out, and I think that's what hurt them the most, was that some of the guys that they did kind of count on, like a Jake Neighbors or Zach Blues or guys like that, just haven't played that great of hockey. And when you're relying on guys on defense like a Tyler Tucker, and I'm not trying to diss or hate on Tuck, it's just not the same as having a defenseman that you can really rely on. Like, you should not rely on Brian Studer more so than you rely on, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where that's the issue. But there is a lot of positives with this team. I do want to talk to you about my favorite segment, Are We Feeling Blue? But first, SelectQuote. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Olympics. The same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect your financial legacy to keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy as one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience. They've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike the brokers that offer one-size-fits-all policies, Their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage of $5 million. No medical exam required, and it's more affordable than you would think. You can get to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Go to selectquote.com/lockedonnhl today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. SelectQuote, they shop, you save. Are we feeling blue? Was this a good week or was this a bad week for the St. Louis Blues? Personally, I think this week was a good week. The Blues didn't lose. The Blues had two players that won in the Four Nations face-off. Did I mention the Blues did not lose because they did not play hockey, so therefore it was a good week? I know, that's actually really negative, but I think that this week just showed me how positive things can be when the Blues are actually not playing hockey. And you just have to take it for how it is. It has been super frustrating being a Blues fan. You know, you've experienced this, I don't want to say the downfall of this team by any means, but you just have experienced some really bad hockey. So when the Blues are not playing, and you just get to watch some of your better players like Binnington and Parayko do a great job in a tournament like the Four Nations Face-Off, it just reminds you that this is what enjoyable hockey looks like. And I did say the entire time that I felt like if Binner had a strong defense in front of him, then he would shine and persevere, and I feel like that happened. I think that it's really difficult to be that good at anything when you're on a team that just doesn't have the talent in front of you. And I think Jordan Binnington had a really tough season with that. I think that for the Blues, that they shouldn't really focus on winning. I know, loser mentality, and I understand. But I think for the Blues, they just need to focus on a couple things. Developing their younger players like Dvorsky, maybe even a Zach Dean, a Simon Robertson. I think when you have to imagine the Blues' future, you need to think about how you can utilize those guys, because if not, then what's the point of keeping them on the Thunderbirds? And I don't want to be rude and write anybody off, and I don't have a player that even comes to my mind at the moment, but you're going to draft a guy. You obviously have somewhat of a plan for him in your organization. I'm not saying that's always going to work out for the said player, but it may not. And the moment you realize that it's not going to work out, trade him while he still has value, while other teams might be interested in him, so that way you can get something out of it. I feel like for the Blues, with what they did with Perunovich, they kept him too long. Maybe they could have gotten more value out of him if they traded him sooner, because I'm pretty sure the Blues knew their kind of plan with him. And that's why all along I said, why would you even give him that 1-year extension? There is a person that always